All right, so PGL Copenhagen Major 2024 Pick'Ems. I got some noob friends who don't know what they're talking about and they want to get some points. They want to get the diamond coin. Shout out to Xenox, he's right here. You can see him. He was showing me his Pick'Ems yesterday, and I was thinking, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. So I'm going to help him. I'm going to help my brother out, and I'm going to help you guys out as well, because I don't want you guys to fall into the same trap that everybody else seems to, which is putting Asian teams 0 and 3. I think that is a debate, but we'll get into that in just a second. Now, what I will say before we jump into this is, if you are really serious about this, definitely don't take this for gospel. I haven't gone into like the nitty gritty. I know some other people have gone and said, okay, if this team wins this and this and this, they will play this team in this, and this team will verse this team in the 2-0, and this team will verse this team in the 0-2. I haven't done that. This is just my gut feeling on where the teams sit, just in terms of like maybe a power ranking type situation. So just for context, that's where I'm sitting at for this one. But I want to start off with the 3 and 0s. Now, I think for me, this one's pretty straightforward. I'm going to go Cloud9. I think they're probably going to be the team that most people are going to be putting in the 3 and 0. And generally speaking, I tend to find when you're watching these kinds of videos that the team that most people are putting in the 3 and 0 pick tends not to be the one that gets the 3 and 0 pick. But anyway, maybe we'll see what happens. I still think they are probably the strongest team in this bracket here. They did really well at the EU RMR. I think they're still a very strong team, even despite the bit of up and down nature of the results that team has had. And I think especially in comparison to the majority of the teams at this event, they're definitely going to be fine. So I'll put them as 3 and 0. And on my second 3 and 0 prediction, I'm going to go with ENTS. I like this project. I like where they're going. I like the upward trajectory that I'm seeing from them. They did reasonably well at Katowice, so that's a tick in my book. And they've had a bit more time with Glaive now coming into that roster. So I'm going to assume they're going to continue to go on the up and up, and I think they're going to continue to do well. I'll be predicting them as my 3 and 0. Now, as far as the 0 and 3s are concerned, this one I find is not too difficult. Now, for me personally, I don't have a huge amount of faith in the Americas RMR, so that might be where like my inherent biases are showing through. And like I said, I think picking the Asian teams here as a 0 and 3 is a bait. I think a lot of people do that just because they don't watch, don't care, don't know the Asian teams, and so therefore they just go, okay, this is the easy one for me to pick. I'm going to get rid of Linvision would be probably the one that most people are considering here. But think about the last 2 majors, think about what people were doing with Greyhound, what people were doing with Mongols, and they were always sort of saying, yeah, Mongols, they're not going to do anything, Greyhound's not going to do anything, and they've been wrong 2 majors in a row. It's been 2 years since the last time an Asian team, which in fact actually was an Oceanic team, which was Renegades, went 0 and 2. You have to go back 2 years for that. So I'm going to put some faith in the Asia region. I'm going to say, I think for me, Legacy is one of those teams. Like I said, I don't have a huge amount of faith in the Americas RMR. I don't think they had to beat too many super strong teams to make it through. And the other team that I'm going to put 0-3 here is going to be Pain. I'm not a big fan of Pain. I watched them a little bit over the last couple of months, and I wasn't really too impressed with what I've seen. I think they're super inconsistent. I mean, look, they're not a bad team. Don't get me wrong, they're definitely not an awful team. But look, someone's got to be 0-3. So for me, that is going to be Pain. I'm a little bit wishy-washy on that one. I think definitely you could put, 1 or 2 of the other teams through in there. Like, I mean, for me, Imperial's definitely one in that conversation potentially as well. And look, I don't hate Linvision as a 0 and 3 pick, but obviously my personal biases have Linvision as being a team that can cause some upsets. Now, I don't think Linvision's going to go through. I will give you that. I definitely don't think they're a good enough team to make it 3 and 1 or 3 and 2, because especially when it gets to the BO3s, I think that they're going to be let down a little bit by their map pool. But in the BO1s, they can get onto an Anubis or something like that. I can definitely see them upsetting some teams. So I'll definitely give them at least one BO1, I would say here for Linvision. But in fairness, they are a very inexperienced roster at this level of competition. This is going to be the first major for all of them. So I can't crucify people who want to put Linvision as a 0 and 3, but for me personally, I'm gonna choose to have faith in them. Now, for the 3-1, 3-2 teams, I think this one, personally for me, feels pretty easy, right? I think Heroic's definitely a go. For me, Apex, I think, is definitely a go. I know they're a little bit wishy-washy, but again, when it comes to this level of competition, I think they're a solid enough team to make it happen. Obviously, Eternal Fire as well, I would say that I think they're a fairly safe bet, and I also think Fury is a fairly safe bet. So for me, these 4 teams, pretty safe, and then you come down to the last few where you're like, okay, what are we going to do with these ones? I'm going to put Mongols through. I think Mongols is a great shout as well. I think they're in the best form that we've ever seen them. I think they've got the best roster that an Asian team has had probably since that top 10 Tyloo roster, and honestly, I think this team is better than that team. So I can see this Mongols roster, even if it's just the core and maybe they make another change over the next 6-12 months. I think there's actually a top 10 Asian CS team in the future somewhere. Call that a bold prediction, call that a hot take, but I'm really high on this Mongols roster, and I hope that they can make it happen here. I hope that they can continue to make it happen, and I've got the faith that they will be able to do it. I look at all of the teams that they're going to play against, or that they would potentially play against, and I think this is not an impossible game to win. And also the thing that I really like about the Mongols is that they are an Asia team that has shown the ability to win best of threes internationally. So that's the one big thing that I think we've kind of been lacking going into some of the previous majors, is that the Asia teams in particular, they're good for one, they're good for an upset here or there, but they never really shown the ability to consistently win best of threes, which is something that the Mongols have got. So for me, I'll give them the tick in my book. And now for me, between Saw and Nine Pandas, I like Saw just a little bit better here for me. So I'm going to put them through, and that's where I'm going to put things as far as my predictions are concerned. So if you want to get a diamond coin, make sure you do go for those predictions. Definitely don't put Asian teams as the 0 and 3. That's my hot tip for you. Otherwise, good luck, and we'll catch you in the next one. Hey guys, just at the end of this video, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Jean, who is my first supporter on buymeacoffee.com. If you'd also like to support me financially or any of my content, make sure to check out the link. It is in the description box below.